So these are the this is the work in progress of the sheep for the sheep coding game, and they don't work right at this moment. Basically, they're supposed to be drawn together if they're in a certain radius, and if they're outside of that, they are right now they're just operating supposed to be operating randomly. However, they always end up going to this one corner. Although you can see that the one that's far away is not being drawn. The cohesion is the yellow one. So that's working slightly right. But basically what I have so far is I have created a custom event that's called Realm, just to be their realm. They're gonna have a couple like the grades functions. Um, the first thing that I wanted to do is so I'm using Boids. And that's been particularly difficult. There's tons of code for Boids, obviously, but it's kind of difficult to translate it into visual scripting. Um, so with Boids, basically, specifically for sheep, um, there have been several papers written about it that I had to read. Um, you want to find the center of mass, but by not including its own self. So this first thing that happens when play is hit is that it removes itself from an array called the array of sheep from all the actors, and then I put it into a new array that's called filtered sheep. So that's all the sheep except the one that is except itself. So right now I'm trying to find like filter the sheep further by finding its neighbors. It's not working correctly right now, but this is what I have so far. I do a component overlap instead of just actor overlap so that I can really control um, how wide that is. So it's based on that collision sphere. And then I try to filter that into the neighbors that are in that sphere, begin overlap and end overlap. Um, and it adds to the array right here. So far, it's not exactly working how it's supposed to. And then the main function are these three rules of Boids, which is cohesion, alignment, and separation. And those are all added together and then put into the destination. And that's my movement. So that's where they're trying to go. I think that part of the problem might be that it needs to not be a destination, but a force that's applied to them, but I haven't gotten there yet. So my first rule is my cohesion rule, and I made a variable called cohesion vector, and then I used that array that I stated earlier called the filtered sheep. Right now, this is incorrect. My teacher told me to take it out because it's just basically um, extraneous. It's not really doing anything. But the main part, it's not breaking it, but the main part is I got the average location because center of mass, since all the sheep are the same mass gets canceled out. So it's just average location. And so I set the center of mass as another variable. And this is more extraneous stuff. I wanted this to be, if it's not one of the neighbors, it's only like, it's supposed to be, this is kind of hard coding for the distance. So if it's not in a neighbor, it's going to affect it very little, was basically what I was trying to do just to see a difference between them. This would be its own function that's not as hard coded later on. And then I divided that and for this cohesion vector. So this is a different cohesion vector based on the distance of the sheep away. So the actual one is just the average location. I set the center of mass, I set the cohesion vector, and this is me drawing those arrows that connected them. My second function is alignment. So again, that's going to be taken out, but I made a new variable called shift velocity, and then this is also kind of extraneous, but basically, so voids were originally made for birds, birdoid objects. So I had to break these vectors apart so that there wasn't a z-axis because my sheep aren't flying. And then I got their velocities because I want their velocities to affect each other. So if one is running, I want my grandneighbors neighbors to start running, so that we can have the dog to herd them. And then I divide by the number of neighbors, and then that's my debugging error again. And then my last one is separation. This is again the stuff that I need to shoot out. And then what I'm doing here is I'm trying to get locations and see how close they are to each other. I'm not sure it's working yet. And then I made a repulsion vector variable. So that's being subtracted. And I'm subtracting that to get how close it is so that I can affect it. The closer they get, the bigger the repulsion vector is. So they're like urged to so they don't bump into each other. The closer they get, the more they turn. It's the goal. And then that's my debugging. So that's my code. It does not work yet, mostly. But it's a work in progress, and you can see that the lines are that it keeps them from going too far together. They stop and don't bump into each other because of the separation, the repulsion vector that I made, and these are affecting like direction and stuff. The alignment one disappears because they're all facing the same direction, but there's usually another purple arrow like pointing the direction that they're facing, if you can see it from the point of view from within. So yeah, that's my sheep.